We're about to go to the in-depth, historic briefing with real secret documents, real secret graphics, videos for atomic weapons, which I've studied. These are real. Iran, I know, had a program. They didn't deny the program. They're ongoing. I've talked to the folks that have seen the satellite scans. They had 5 weapons, as you see in this report. Man, I was told stuff by folks 10 years ago that was dead on. 5 weapons a decade ago. And they're going for delivery systems. And forget which side you're on. I'm on the side of not having nuclear war. I'm on the side of peace. For young people in Iran, young people in Israel, young people in Russia, young people in Germany, young people in Brazil, young people in Canada, young people in America. But Iran is its own wild-eyed tyranny. They are the Shiite Muslims, 19% of Islam. They're at war with Sunni Islam, Saudi Arabia. The two are at each other's throats between Hezbollah and Hamas and their proxy wars. It's all out of control. But the globalists are allied with Saudi Arabia. And after they take out Iran, they're going to implode the borders of Europe and flood Europe even more. I'm not saying I'm on any of these sides because this is all insane.
And I don't have to remind you, I think, that Iran is continually expanding the range of its ballistic missiles, its nuclear-capable missiles. They started with 1,000 kilometers. They're now up to 2,000, roughly. They can reach Riyadh, Tel Aviv, Moscow, but they're working on far, far greater ranges. They're planning much longer range missiles to carry nuclear weapons.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a major global political realignment taking place. Trump is being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by the South Korean president. That broke today. They're agreeing to a peace deal. You've got the Pope calling for everyone to turn in their firearms, but the UN and the globalists, and he won't give up the Swiss Guard. But a global peace race has begun, launched by President Trump. Meanwhile, in Tehran, the dictators there, the Ayatollahs, are about to start testing atomic bombs. The word is they had atomic weapons a long time ago. Now they've got the delivery systems, and I have that from very high-level sources. But here is Benjamin Netanyahu live giving a breakdown from Tel Aviv, ladies and gentlemen, about the fact that they're getting ready to go after Iran. Here it is.
Fundamental religious and ethical convictions.
This is repeated by Iran's foreign minister, Javad Zarif.
We didn't have any program to develop nuclear weapons. Anyway, we consider nuclear weapons both irrational as well as immoral.
Well, tonight I'm here to tell you one thing. Iran lied. Big time. After signing the nuclear deal in 2015, Iran intensified its efforts to hide its secret nuclear files. In 2017, Iran moved its nuclear weapons files to a highly secret location in Tehran. This is the Shorabad district in southern Tehran. This is where they kept the atomic archives, right here. Few Iranians knew where it was, very few, and also a few Israelis. Now, from the outside, this was an innocent-looking compound. It looks like a dilapidated warehouse. But from the inside, it contained Iran's secret atomic archives locked in massive files. Actually, they're a little bigger than this, okay? A few weeks ago, in a great intelligence achievement, Israel obtained 1/2 ton of the material inside these vaults. And here's what we got. 55,000 pages. Another 55,000 files on 183 CDs. Everything you're about to see is an exact copy of the original Iranian material. You may want to know where are the originals? Well, I can say they're now in a very safe place. Here's what the files included. Incriminating documents, incriminating charts, incriminating presentations, incriminating blueprints, incriminating photos, incriminating videos, and more. We've shared this material with the United States, and the United States can vouch for its authenticity. We will also share it with other countries, and we'll share it with the International Atomic Energy Agency. So let me tell you the history of this material. We've known for years that Iran had a secret nuclear weapons program called Project Ahmad. We can now prove that Project Ahmad was a comprehensive program to design, build, and test nuclear weapons. We can also prove that Iran is secretly storing Project Ahmad material to use at a time of its choice to develop nuclear weapons. Here's what Project Ahmad's explicit goal was: creating nuclear weapons. This is an original Iranian presentation from these files. And here's the mission statement: design, produce, and test 5 warheads, each with 10 kiloton TNT yield, for integration on a missile. You don't have to read Farsi to see 10 kilotons here, TNT. This is the specific goal of Project Ahmad. That's like 5 Hiroshima bombs to be put on ballistic missiles. This is an original Iranian spreadsheet from the archives of Project Ahmad. Look at what it has here: yellow cake production, centrifuge enrichment process, warhead project, simulation project, and test. And indeed, when we analyzed what's in these archives, we found that Project Ahmad had all the 5 elements, the 5 key elements of a nuclear weapons program. I want to take them one by one. First element is designing nuclear weapons. This is an original Iranian illustration of a weapon. Again, you don't have to read Farsi to understand this. This is U-235, that's enriched uranium, right here at the core. That's the only place where you find in the core enriched uranium. And here's an Iranian simulation, original Iranian simulation, putting all these components together. That's the first component. Second component, developing nuclear cores. Here's a photo showing the casting process and a cast metal core from the archives. And here's a secret underground facility the Iranians were building to produce nuclear cores. We have hundreds of documents for each of these components. Third component, building nuclear implosion systems. This is an original Iranian photo of a measuring device for implosions. I guarantee you a lot of spies died getting this stuff. And here's a simulation of a nuclear implosion. Fourth element, preparing nuclear tests. Here's a map of 5 potential locations for a nuclear test in eastern Iran. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have many, pause right there. More. He's still briefing, but we can pause it, obviously, and come back. This is very important. This just got sprung on the world. And Netanyahu's giving a worldwide press conference. And here's the deal. Iran said they weren't developing a nuclear weapon. Then they did this deal. We all know they are. I've been told by high-level sources a decade ago they already had some, but they didn't have delivery systems. Pakistan obviously has over 100. And the point is that Trump's trying to get peace through strength. You've got Saudi Arabia and Israel now lined up and ready to support a strike on Iran. And so that's the issue here. I don't want to have war with Iran. But they're very aggressive to our ships. They're very aggressive. Their people don't like the leadership. Most of their population's young. The mullahs are out of control. And Israel will end up moving against that country if they think they get delivery systems. And that's what Netanyahu undoubtedly will come back with, is the delivery systems after the testing phase on the other side. But regardless of what you think of this, this is where the world is. And appeasement got North Korea out of control, firing missiles at Hawaii to test them.
Getting in their face got them to do a peace deal. What is Netanyahu trying to do here? Push Iran to the peace table? I hope that's the point. Because one way or another, the world is in a great crisis right now. We'll be back more with this big briefing. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Tomorrow's news today. Stay with us. Well, as we speak, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who sits on top of a giant hydrogen bomb nuke arsenal of cruise missiles, ICBMs, submarine launched by aircraft, cruise missiles, you name it, is laying out shocking amounts of evidence of Iran's secret nuclear weapons program that they say they've given up for many years. Now, he's showing right now documents from a decade ago, but he's pointing out that it's all hidden in underground bases and warehouses ready to roll out. I have talked years ago to very good sources who, let's just say, have been in the military 30 years, you name it. They said, no, they've seen the scans with the satellites and aircraft that can see down into the ground, and that they have a lot of concentrated fissile material and the ability to build atomic bombs. Atomic bombs are not that hard to build once you've got the material. And, of course, Pakistan's got hundreds. This is all a very serious situation. The larger issue here is Israel going to strike Iran? Well, they've got Saudi Arabia lined up to do it. And Saudi Arabia has been hinting that they've got nuclear weapons now, which I've been told they've had for a decade. They said, listen, if they're going to have it, we're going to have it. And the word is Israel's been transferring more advanced delivery systems now to Saudi Arabia. So think about that. The Saudi Arabian Muslims, who are over 80% of Islam, they control it. They control Mecca. They reportedly have nuclear weapons. And so if you're a radio listener, it's Netanyahu in Tel Aviv. It's nighttime over there. It's like, 8:30. With huge weapons banks. I mean, huge banks of folders and CDs going through the evidence. This isn't like a little fake thing with WMDs and Colin Powell holds up a little vial of anthrax at the UN. We knew that intelligence was fake. My intel has been Iran's got nukes. So I don't know what Israel's thinking, but I haven't seen the whole press conference yet. That's still going on, but we paused it. I'm going to guess he's going to get into delivery systems, and that's why he's really concerned, because the truth is, just like Israel doesn't say they have nukes, Iran's got them too. They're getting upset about the delivery systems. Let's see if I'm right. Let's go back to the press conference.
Here's a map of 5 potential locations for a nuclear test in eastern Iran. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have many, many more such documents. And 5th, integrating nuclear weapons on missiles. Here's a design for a nuclear payload on a Shahab-3 missile from the archive. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb. And I don't have to remind you, I think, that Iran is continually expanding the range of its ballistic missiles, its nuclear-capable missiles. They started with 1,000 kilometers. They're now up to 2,000, roughly. They can reach Riyadh, Tel Aviv, Moscow, but they're working on far, far greater ranges. They're planning much longer range missiles to carry nuclear weapons. So these files conclusively prove that Iran is brazenly lying when it says it never had a nuclear weapons program. The files prove that. But here's what happened next. Iran was faced with mounting pressure in 2003. You remember that. That was following the Gulf War. So it was forced to shelve Project Ahmad. But it didn't shelve its nuclear ambitions. So Iran devised a plan to do 2 things. First, to preserve the nuclear know-how from Project Ahmad. And second, to further develop its nuclear weapons-related capabilities. That plan came directly from Iran's top leadership. Here's another document from the archive. This is following the new directive of Iran's Minister of Defense, Mr. Shamkhani. Today is the director of the National Security Council. Following the new directive of Iran's Minister of Defense, the work would be split into two parts, covert and overt. A key part of the plan was to form new organizations to continue the work. This is how Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, head of Project Ahmad, put it. Remember that name, Fakhrizadeh. So here's his directive. It's right here. And he says, the general aim is to announce the closure of Project Ahmad, but then he adds, special activities, you know what that is, special activities will be carried out under the title of scientific know-how developments. And in fact, this is exactly what Iran proceeded to do. It continued this work in a series of organizations over the years. And today, in 2010, or 2018, this work is carried out by Sapand. That's an organization inside Iran's defense ministry. And you will not be surprised to hear that Sapand is led by the same person who led Project Ahmad, Dr. Fakhrizadeh, and also, not coincidentally, many of Sapand's key personnel worked under Fakhrizadeh on Project Ahmad. So this atomic archive clearly shows that Iran planned at the highest levels to continue work related to nuclear weapons under different guises and using the same personnel. I want to give you another example of Iran's nuclear weapons-related activities that continued after Project Ahmad. You all remember the Fordow facility? Can you show that? Fordow uranium enrichment facility. This was a secret underground enrichment facility that the Iranians built under a mountain. You don't put thousands of centrifuges under a mountain to produce medical isotopes. You put them there for one reason: nuclear weapons, enrichment for nuclear weapons. But the files show that Fordow was designed from the get-go for nuclear weapons as part of Project Ahmad. Here's an original Iranian blueprint of Fordow. And what happened was that Iran continued to build Fordow years, secretly build it, years after Project Ahmad ended.
Okay, I was going to take calls this hour.
That's the entrance.
And I was going to get into other news, but this is obviously breaking. This is big because here's the issue. Whether you love Israel or hate Israel or neutral on Israel, pragmatic on Israel like I am, this is the build-up to major war you're watching. The Saudi prince over here, the roundup of the jihadis that were leading Saudi Arabia, the civil war in Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia wanting us to kick Assad out. That's part of the deal. That they'll denuclearize and they'll stop funding jihad if we knock out their enemies. Now, of course, it's going to be a double cross because the globalists, ladies and gentlemen, they are fomenting all over the world in every way they can, at every point, and every civilization that puts up with this ends up falling. The globalists are fomenting a operation to overrun Europe and collapse it and implode it and to basically end Christianity as we know it. So there's double dealing from the very tops of the whole global government system down into Saudi Arabia and into Israel and into all these different organizations and groups to create the clash of civilization, to overthrow non-radical Muslim countries, and then to break down Europe's borders, merge Islam with the West, bring in a huge clash of culture, and then bring in a worldwide peacekeeper government to stop the cultural and financial ruin that this forced integration of Islam into the West is going to cause. So that's the thing. I'm not anti-Israel. But at the same time, this whole clash with Iran is simply about a war between the Shiites and the Sunnis, a civil war to knock out the rival arm of Islam so that then the main Islamic force can march against Europe and Russia.